3 minutes and then 18 seconds. That's all it took for Manel Kape to turn the flyweight division upside down and send a message to the new champion that echoed through every corner of the UFC. But here's the thing, this wasn't just about one punch. This was destiny delayed, rivalry realized, and a title shot earned in the most brutal way possible. What's up, fight fans? December 13th, 2025, the final UFC event of the year, the last fight on ESPN before the Paramount era begins, and the UFC Apex in Las Vegas became ground zero for one of the most anticipated flyweight showdowns we've seen in years. Brandon Royval versus Manel Kape. Two fighters, one dream, a collision course that had been canceled twice before finally became reality, and trust me, it was worth the wait. Let me paint you a picture. This fight was supposed to happen, not once, but 3 times. The UFC tried to book this matchup earlier in 2025, but fate kept stepping in. First cancellation, second cancellation. Fans were starting to wonder if we'd ever see these two throw down. But here's where it gets interesting. When the fight got scrapped in June, guess who stepped in to replace Kape? Joshua Van, the young gun who would go on to beat Royval in what many called a Fight of the Year candidate. Van used that performance as a springboard, eventually capturing the flyweight championship from Alexandre Pantoja just 1 week before this fight. So imagine being Brandon Royval. You lose to Van in June. Van takes your spot, beats you, gets the title shot you wanted, and becomes champion. Now you're standing across from the guy who was originally supposed to fight you, the guy whose injury changed everything. The stakes, redemption, validation, and a chance to get back in the title picture. For Manel Kape, this was personal too. He believed that if his foot hadn't broken in July, he would be champion right now. Not Van, him, and he was about to prove why. The tension before this fight was electric. Royval came in ranked number 2 in the division. The man known as Raw Dog holds the record for most Fight of the Night bonuses in flyweight history. He's chaos personified, unpredictable, relentless, the kind of fighter who drowns you in deep waters and edges out decisions when you think you've got him figured out. Kape, ranked number 6, but don't let that fool you. This dude is precision wrapped in power, better striking accuracy than Royval, better defense, better takedown defense, and he was 1 knockout away from tying the UFC record for most knockouts in flyweight history alongside Joe Benavidez. During fight week, Kape said something that still gives me chills. There is no game plan. The plan is that Brandon Royval steps in the cage and I will do the rest. I will give the entertainment and the masterpiece. Royval fired back, saying he wanted to out-technique Kape, but if it turned into a fist fight, he bet on himself over the entire world. 2 fighters, 2 philosophies, both convinced they were walking out with their hand raised. The question wasn't if this would be explosive, it was when. The Octagon door closes. Herb Dean, one of the most respected referees in the game, stands between them, the glove touch, and we're off. The first minute and a half, surprisingly measured. Kape marches forward, throwing hard calf kicks. Royval answers back. They're feeling each other out, but you can sense it, the calm before the storm. Then Kape starts to implement his strategy. Remember what he said, back Royval to the fence and unleash hell. That's exactly what happened. Kape begins walking Royval down, forcing him backward with a series of punches. Royval's against the cage now, exactly where Kape wants him. And then it happens. A right hook, perfectly placed, surgical precision, the kind of shot that separates the good from the great. Royval's legs give out, he crumples to the canvas. Kape follows him down, not with wild, desperate punches, but with calculated, ultra-precise strikes. One of those shots, it briefly renders Royval unconscious. Lights out, for just a moment he's gone. Herb Dean sees it. The fight is over. 3 minutes and 18 seconds into round 1, Manel Kape has just scored the 14th knockout of his career. More importantly, he's tied the UFC flyweight record with 5 knockouts, matching Joe Benavidez. And Brandon Royval, this is only his 2nd knockout loss ever. Royval tried to protest at the stoppage at first, but when they showed him the replay, he saw it. That moment where his eyes went blank. Even he couldn't argue with that. Now here's where things get spicy. The fight's over, Kape hand is raised, and he's got a microphone in his hand. What he said next became instant MMA folklore. Joshua Van, you have my belt. If I hadn't broke my feet in July, I would be the champion right now. He's just getting started. Now, baby, listen very well. I'm here. Your daddy is gonna take your diapers alive on the new Paramount deal. I'm going to take your diapers alive. Wait, what? Be ready because you are in Houston, right? Let's fight in Houston in February or whatever you want. Just sign the contract. The crowd goes absolutely insane. Love it or hate it, that's one of the most memorable callouts in recent UFC history. And here's the thing, Kape backed up every word with his performance. Think about what just happened. Kape jumped from number 6 to potentially number 2 in the rankings with one punch. He's won 3 straight fights now, 8 wins in his last 9, and he just demolished the guy who was ranked above him in devastating fashion. Meanwhile, Joshua Van is watching this at home, probably thinking, this guy just called me out on international television and said he's taking my diapers. The flyweight division just got a whole lot more interesting. Quick side note, because we can't talk about this event without mentioning the co-main event. Kevin Vallejos versus Giga Chikadze, another knockout that made jaws drop. Vallejos landed a spinning back fist that sent Chikadze crashing to the canvas in the second round. But it wasn't just the back fist. When Chikadze hit the ground, his arms trapped beneath him, Vallejos followed up with 3 brutal elbows. Each one shut Chikadze's lights off and turned them back on in rapid succession. Referee Mike Smith waved it off as Chikadze's eyes stared lifelessly at the canvas. This was the first time Chikadze had ever been knocked out in his career, and Vallejos, he's now 5 wins in a row and making a serious statement at featherweight. This card was violence, friends. So where does the flyweight division go from here? Let's break it down. Joshua Van is the champion. The 24-year-old became the 2nd youngest champion in UFC history when he took the belt from Alexandre Pantoja. But that win came via a freak injury. Pantoja dislocated his elbow early in the fight. Some people questioned whether Van really earned it. Now, he's got Manel Kape breathing down his neck, demanding a title shot and calling him out by name. But there's another complication. Tatsuro Taira just pounded out Brandon Moreno right before Van won the title. Taira's probably next in line. Here's my prediction. Taira fights Van first, Kape waits, and if Kape stays active and keeps winning, he's one more victory away from being undeniable. The UFC can't ignore what he just did to Royval. That wasn't a decision, that wasn't a close fight, that was a statement written in capital letters with an exclamation point. The flyweight division is stacked right now. We've got killers everywhere you look, and Manel Kape just put everyone on notice. Look, this was the final UFC event of 2025, the last fight on ESPN before the Paramount era begins, and what a way to close it out. Manel Kape delivered a masterpiece, just like he promised. Brandon Royval showed up to fight, but ran into precision and power he couldn't overcome. This is why we love this sport. No scripts, no guarantees, just 2 fighters, 1 octagon, and everything on the line. And sometimes, it only takes 3 minutes and 18 seconds to change everything. If you made it this far, drop a comment below. Do you think Kape deserves the next title shot? Or should Taira get first crack at Van? And that call out legendary or cringe? Let me know. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button and subscribe for more fight analysis. We've got a whole year of combat sports coming up, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's next.